Welcome to 3 Minutes of Thunder. I'm joined today by Laurie Calcaterra, writer and creator of The Path of the Pale Rider. Welcome, Laurie, to 3 Minutes of Thunder.
Yes, let's do it. I'm excited. I'm here. Let's do it.
All right. Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about your project. It's on Kickstarter at the moment. It's doing really, really well, but we need to get those backers out there to help support the project. Let's share some stuff, and you can tell us what is it Path of the Pale Rider or The Path of the Pale Rider?
No, it's Path of the Pale Rider. Yes.
Path of the Pale Rider. All right. Well, you've got an extra "the" at the beginning, so that's for free. You don't have to pay for that one. All right, so here we go. Why don't you talk us through the project?
So this icon kind of represents the whole shebang. So this is the light versus the dark, good versus evil, death versus life. And it kind of meets in the middle with this gold line. This has a lot of meaning behind it, but I really haven't explained what this image is. But if you pay attention long enough, you'll see that this is actually the answer. In our world, the death process is broken, which means that your body can die, but your soul remains trapped in your body, your soul or your energy, whatever you want to call it. So you get to experience your own decay phase. So people go crazy because their brain is literally rotting in their skull. So you could go through memory loss, detachment, violence, all sorts of combinations of emotions as your brain decays. So again, these aren't flesh-eating zombies. It's your mom, it's your sister, it's your neighbor, it's your best friend as they go through this, and you get to watch them decay.
Wow, intense.
It's very intense. And it's not just humans, it's all life. So animals, insects, fish, whatever you can think of, it does not die. So this creates a whole gamut of problems. Of course, we have overpopulation because everybody is still stuck here. But also we have famine because if you eat meat, how do you butcher a cow that is still moving? Would you even want to eat it while it's still moving? Your hamburger won't stop. It's going to move in your stomach. You know what I mean? And then we have
would turn me vegan. Sorry.
But here's the other problem. We have insects that pesticides do not work, because they're undead and they probably don't understand insects are only good at like a couple things, right? And eating is one of them. So they probably wouldn't stop eating because that's what they're hardwired to do. So now we have crops that are just destroyed because we cannot stop them from doing what they're hardwired to do. So food becomes very scarce. Water becomes a problem. We get riots. We have government that steps in, and because now when you think about what happens to a human once they're undead, should they be able to own property or drive a car or own a firearm or vote?
Go to their own funeral. Yeah.
When do those rights go away? When you die.
Yeah.
So that's a hard question. We start being able to, they want to classify people. So living versus undead, they create technology to kind of, that you have to have on you. We call it a disc. People wear it on their chest, and it shows the heartbeat like a heart monitor, but it also has a speaker, so the audio comes through as well. So it can be activated by touching it. So if you're caught without one, you could be detained, but they just want to tap it and see, like, do you have a heartbeat? But of course, this is technology, and technology is hackable. So the undead or the undead sympathizers are now figuring out ways for either undead to hack discs or undead to pass as human longer by chemical and makeup combinations, so they maybe don't decay as fast, stuff like that. So it's really how people would attack a problem. You know what I mean? Guns aren't really a thing anymore. You know what I mean? Because if the undead are the problem and guns don't work on the undead, maybe we switch to a more of a taser or electrical weapon. And again, it's like the army is probably the only ones that have massive supplies of these things.
Yeah.
So where we are in the story, episode 1, we're 10 years into the apocalypse and things have devolved back to the Wild West. So we're actually in the future in the Wild West. So we're following a cowboy named Jude St. Clair, and he is one of the only guys that's around that's still looking for the answer. Why do the dead no longer die? If you look at any crisis, look at us in COVID. It's been 2 years. We've moved on. We're not, We moved on. People just want to live their life. People just want to scrape by. So in this apocalypse, nobody at 10 years, nobody cares. They have all moved on.
Yeah.
So you still
Yeah.
have this one guy who is determined, who has been collecting conspiracy theories and has been traveling around by car, by horse, by whatever means to research all these crazy theories. And really, it could be anything. When the dead walk the earth, can you really say that any theory is invalid? So the whole first arc has been written. We have 13 issues that are going to come out. We're on issue number 2. I have to say, Jude St. Clair does find the answer, and it's not in episode 13. It's in like episode 10 or 9, I think. So I'll give you the answer. You get to see the Wild West. You get to experience the riots. You get to experience the fall. You get to see how different communities are. You get to see how the wild is, and then all the terrible things that are going on, and see if Jude can survive long enough to find the answer. Of course he does, but is he alive when he finds it? He could be undead and still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the artwork and such that we've got on offer here.
Sure. You want me to push the buttons?
Yeah, you go for it. Oh, great cover.
This is issue number 1. So this came out in July. So this is cover A. This is Marco DeFillo, who is the illustrator of the interior art. So this kind of represents issue number 1. So, we get to see Jude make decisions and learn who he is. And one of the things that he does, he's on this cliffside road and he stops to wrench this glass out of a zombie hand. Who knows why he decided to do that? It wasn't a great idea. And no, it was not smart. But he pulls this thing out and like dives to catch it when it like goes flying out of his hand, risks his life to basically catch this stupid thing. And then calls himself out at like, God, that was dumb. Why am I doing that? Shoves it in his saddlebag. And then him and his horse have to climb over the carcass of an undead bear.
Oh.
And the horse trips because the road is all dilapidated. Like infrastructure is, being reclaimed by the earth.
Yeah.
Horse trips, out comes this glass and shatters. And now the bear is awake. So Jude has to deal with the consequences of his actions. So this shattered glass, this beautiful picture that has Jude and Prince, his horse, zombies, the disc, and Marco speaks to like the shattered humanity in the apocalypse, where it's just like, it's just such a terrible place to be. So I love that cover.
It's a great cover. Yeah.
This is David Rodriguez cover. He does just great gory work. I'm so glad I found this guy, but we have a broken disc and we got a horde of zombies. Now, again, our zombies aren't man-eating zombies, so that's a little bit deceiving, but maybe they're coming to find you because they want to talk to you about your expired car warranty.
Yeah. They've got a timeshare offer you just have to hear because
it's or they're all sneezing because they have allergies. I don't know, but I just live, like we wanted to pay homage to like the horror side, the gory side that you're going to get in this comic. And again, we have the big James the bear, the antagonist of issue number 1. This was Jose Martinez, very George Romero, Dawn of the Dead color scheme and letters on this one. And then we have our last variant, which was Everett Watkins. This is paying homage to the spaghetti western, which is very much an influence. So the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I was going to say, I heard the in the back of my head as soon as I saw this. Yeah,
that's exactly what we were going for. So if you go look at the movie poster with Clint Eastwood, and he's got the poncho and the letters in white on his poncho, that's what this is, people. So you're going to see a lot of like spaghetti western influence, especially in the beginning. But we do have an extended flashback in the middle of the comic, so you're going to get to see what it was before the apocalypse. We're in the West for a good portion of the comic, but you're going to see like different communities and how they approach, this crisis. So there's different ways, So this is, the interior. I'm just going to go kind of fast, but here we are 10 years into the apocalypse. And of course, I'm a Robert Kirkman fan. I have read Invincible, The Walking Dead, Oblivion Song, Battle Pope. I could, I could keep going. But Walking Dead was just an amazing story, and done in black and white, by the way. So this, very much looks like The Walking Dead in the beginning, but we don't stay that way. I also wanted to show people what it looks like in color. So we have our main goal on the Kickstarter, 4550, and when we get there, you get a black and white comic, and that's what issue number 1 was. We actually finished at 116%. We were like $800 shy of the color stretch goal. We really want to hit that color stretch goal this time because we were so close. If we push a little harder, we can get there, people. Because if you could see Marco DeFillo's color, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. Such a difference.
Like that panel number 2 where he's squinting, it's very much that Clint Eastwood with the light going across his eyes. It's beautiful. And I'll show you more with some color, but this is a cool page too, because in our last campaign, one of the most popular backer levels was called Immortality. And if you sent me some reference pictures, Marco would draw you into the comic. This young man is actually an Immortality backer's son. So he is now immortalized in our comic, and we let him live. We kill most of everybody that sends their reference pictures. They either show up already dead or we kill them quite violently, which is kind of fun to see yourself squished. So yeah.
Fantastic.
But just like beautiful scenery. I can't wait to see this one color. And it's just kind of like that quiet moment, where Jude is introspective and watching the fire and reading his journal. And of course, that doesn't stay that way because why would it? So a pack of wolves show up and he scares them off, but they didn't get no sleep that night. So him and the horse are both tired. They find this farm. This is a great page. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically he comes to this farm and there's a lady and her child. And he says, "Hi, I'm looking for Santa Claus." And she was like, "Aren't you a little for that?" And he's, no, not the legend. I'm looking for the town of Santa Claus. And she was like, "Yeah, and what takes you there?" Everybody's super suspicious because everybody's kind of a jerk in the apocalypse, right? So he says, "I'm looking for a guy named Dwayne Fink. Are you familiar?" And she's like, "No, and all the names are gone, the roads and the towns. I don't know." She's like, "But there is a town at the top of the bluff if you go up this road." So he asks for some water. The lady goes off to fill the canteen. There's a wall that's separating them. You can't see it. No, you can't see it. So the girl's like in the yard and Jude and Prince are outside of the yard, right? So the lady goes inside to fill up his water and he has this conversation with this little girl, where the girl is like, "I wish I had some apples. Oh, we have our carrots." She's like, "I had read that, horses really like carrots." And he says, "Yeah, I think she calls the horse a him," and he corrects her. He says, "Actually, Prince is a girl. Her full name is Diana Prince. And I named her after a warrior woman who is the protector of the human race." So in my world, Jude St. Clair has read DC Comics. Just saying. But we have like those little Easter eggs and those little references throughout. So you have this touching moment with the little girl and the horse, and then they're off. And then, of course, here they are on this cliffside road. It's a terrible place. You got this big old sign that says "Dead Bear." But Jude has this conversation with Prince where he was like, "I don't know if we should go." And she kind of responds in her own way. So she doesn't speak English, but it's kind of like The Witcher and Roach. They have that personal relationship where she's not just his transportation. She's also his companion. And he says a few things to her. He's like, "Okay, we can do it. It'll be just like we've done it in the past." So in other words, they've done stuff like this before. And he's like, "And I was saving something for the occasion. I hope you like your new sneakers. Happy early birthday." You know what I mean? So it's like something you would do for a girl, It's like you bought her a new pair of shoes for her birthday. So they have this touching moment. And then they're off onto this treacherous road. So here's the zombie hand sticking out from a boulder. I kind of see this as like very Looney Tune, where like this boulder smashed somebody and they're just stuck with their arm forever sticking out. I think they have an arm and a leg that's out. But yeah, it goes flying into the air, dives to catch it. Like, what an idiot. But he looks at it when he gets settled and he's like, "Oh, let's see what we found." And it's a tumbler. It's a glass tumbler with the map of Las Vegas on it.
Yeah.
Wonder what that means. Next page. So, of course, he's like, what was I thinking? That was dumb. Sticks it in the sack. And then there's all these crows that are flying around this curve, right? So you can't see what's coming. And of course, he says, I have a bad feeling about this. Turns the corner and these birds are eating something. And it's this giant carcass. So they're quiet.
Yeah, the bear.
There's a giant dead bear. And of course, they're trying to be as quiet as they can. And there's the its feet go over the edge. It's so massive that there's just no way. You either have to go over it or go back. But Jude is determined. He brings his horse, and they go over it. It's like that panel that Marco drew up top. So there's the panel number 1 where she's stepping over, and then panel number 2 where like her hoof is brushing the hair as it goes over this carcass. It's just like, oh my God, so close. And of course, there's this one panel of a brief like, oh, thank God we made it. And then she trips. So out goes this glass, crashes into the ground. I can't wait to see that one in color. That's going to pop so much harder. And then, of course, we have the splash page. So here's Big James awake and pissed off.
All right, so let's have a look. So that's all issue 1,
number 1,
right?
Which is out.
Yeah.
I do have a a catch-up tier. I got a couple of different kinds where if you want just like PDF, like you're in Australia, correct?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't ship to Australia. So guys, if you're in Australia and you want to get caught up, I do have a PDF 1 and PDF 2 bundle. So you can read those both. If you're in the States or you're somewhere else where I ship to, I have the one called Winner Chicken Dinner where you get PDF 1 and 2 and you get physical copy of 1 and 2 as well. So that's that. But on to number 2. I'm going to go back. So this is cover A, Marco DeFillos. Again, telling you the story. It's Jude stomping on a guy. It's like the hard path that Jude has to take and sometimes over people in order to succeed. And in the background, you got a roaring Big James and then a dude. I could tell you who the dude is. Should I?
Let's leave some mystery.
Okay.
If people want to find out who the dude is,
he's in the first 4 pages. So I'm going to show you a preview, and this guy is in the first 4 pages. Right. So you'll get to see him. We'll cover it when we get there. Of course, David Rodriguez cover, again, the same guy that did the zombie cover. He's got Jude behind bars with a dead disc. His hands say Dead West, which is the original working title that I was writing under.
Oh, nice.
Then I found out that there was like 2 bands and a novel series that are all called Dead West, and they're current. You know what I mean? Like they're still active. So then I was like, I don't really feel like sharing social media. Like if people look up Dead West and it would send them to the band instead of to my comic, it's like, meh. So Path of the Pale Rider is actually a much better description for the comic.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Because it references the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So it has
the kind of journey.
Yes. So it's like the path of death, because the 4th horseman of the apocalypse rides a pale horse. So it's like the path of death. Death is missing, you know what I mean, from this world. But it could also represent like Jude and his path and his journey through this world. So there's a lot of meaning behind it. This is Everett Watkins. So the gentleman that did the cowboy, this is our Christmas cover, Morgan.
Wow.
Christmas tree.
My brain immediately went to The Walking Dead straight away with that cover. That's amazing.
This cover cracks me up for so many reasons. It's a Charlie Brown Christmas tree decorated with zombies. It says, welcome to Santa Claus. So it's issue number 2. We're going towards the town of Santa Claus in this one. And it just cracks me up because it says welcome. And I don't think I've ever seen a more unwelcoming image in my life, where it's just like, come on in, but we're probably going to hang you from the front gate. It's cool. We might add you to the tree. So it's like, oh, good God. But if you have, if you know people that are horror fans, this would make a great Christmas gift, because we're going to fund and fulfill in December.
Perfect.
So this one is a work in progress. It's a friend of mine who's in the UK. His name is Rich Parada. He's a professor of comic art. And I actually lettered this. I guess I didn't update the slide, but he is coloring it this week. So it's a nice poker game. We're in a saloon, and we might see some shenanigans. I'll show you this. So every comic has a quote page, and my last one had like a really flowery, meaningful, poetic quote, about souls and hell. And this one is Never Trust the Living, which is from the Handbook for the Recently Deceased, which, if for those of you who aren't familiar, it's from Beetlejuice. It's the book that they get as soon as they're deceased. And it's the that lady, that smoker lady that was working at the desk, and they're like, all the football players kept calling her coach. That's what she's like, never trust the living. So that's our quote.
That's
for this
great.
one.
That's really cool.
Here we are. Here's Santa Claus. Jude's heading in, and they got dead people staked outside. And now they're still animated. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And they can talk to you. So first panel, they're all kind of like just stuck there. But the second panel, that guy's asking for help. And this, look how irreverent they are to these undead, where it's like they took this guy's head off and he's pointing to the saloon. They made him into a directional sign. How rude.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no respect for the dead anymore.
No. Well, not in this place.
Not in this world. No.
Not in this place.
No, that's right.
He can go to other towns, and they do. They have like mixed communities where everybody is welcome. They have just communities for undead. There's a lot of different things that you're going to see. But in Santa Claus, they're very they're not very nice to undead, and they're not very nice to the living either. They don't like strangers. So in fact, like the first thing that they say as he walks in is, "Look alive, barkeep, you got a stranger." So pointing out like he's not from here. But again, the barkeep was like, did BJ get you? And he was like, who the heck is BJ? He's like, BJ, the undead bear. Between the blood, the rock slides and BJ, we don't get many people here anymore. Right. So it's a rare sight that they even see someone new. And he's like, you got a pretty powerful reason for being here, don't you? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm looking for somebody. And he's like, oh, they're important. Who are they? And he's like, yeah, it's this guy named Dwayne Fink. He has substantial information. Have you heard of him? And the barkeep is like, hey, it's your lucky days right over there, kind of thing. Turns around, and there, of course, Dwayne is this drunk. So,
yeah.
And this table full of cronies, they're just kind of like egging him on. So he's like, let me get this straight, Dwayne. The man of gold found the fountain of youth. And he's like, no, Jimmy. And this is the guy from the cover that's talking on the left side of the table. He's like, no, Jimmy, gold lives forever because he snared death. And he says, well, how old did you say he's again? He's like, well, let me see, and takes a really long drink from his beer. And he says, he's at least 102, no, 103, and like slashes his beer on a dude. And then this color page is so awesome, and Jimmy says, I smell bullshit. And then Dwayne gets upset. No. You're not listening. Gold lives in a palace of lies while we fill the world with undead. We're being judged. The wrath of God is upon us. I'm telling you, he knows the answer to where death went. And then spills his beer and falls off the table.
Perfect.
So, of course, the sheriff is there at that time, and he says, all right, Dwayne, this happens every time you get upset. Let's go sleep it off in the drunk tank, to which Dwayne responds, my head hurts. And the barkeep is just like, are you sure this is the important guy you were looking for? And Jude's like, yeah, that's him. And he says, the things I have to do to get information. And the barkeep's like, excuse me? And he's like, never mind. So something's going to happen.
Something's going on. Something's up.